Hello and welcome back to the BS podcast. My name's Braden and I'm here with my co-host Sam.
How's it going?
How's your day going there, bud?
It's going pretty good. Going pretty good. Excited to talk about some stuff.
Me too, me too. Gotta have to have a day where, we vent and stuff. I was thinking that I think Thursdays we should have our podcast come out.
Okay.
So that
Yep.
way it's like a consistent uh I guess a consistent release schedule, or at
Yep.
least try to get around Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, if you're looking to see when our next podcast comes out, it'll probably be every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We will let you know in the podcast beforehand if we can't get one out the next week or something like that, because we'll probably know ahead of time.
Yep.
Um, but I would like to just reiterate something from the first episode where, I do care about other people's opinions. All right. I got some feedback where people are I got probably shouldn't say you don't care. I mean, I do care. I just not gonna argue my opinion if I believe in my own opinion. I'm not gonna try to sit there and debate you. But
You will
if you
respect
do, if you
others'
like,
opinions, but you
yes,
are your own.
yes, there
There
you
it
go. That's how
is.
you say it.
There it
Words are
is.
hard today.
That's okay. Words are hard every day.
Yeah, that's what happens when you speak English fluently and you still can't speak it.
Correct. Exactly. Yep.
So I think today we're gonna talk about basketball since the playoffs are in full swing right now. We're on the conference finals. Um, both conferences were pretty fun to watch, I think, for the
Yeah.
most part at least.
Yep.
And then also yesterday was the 22nd, the draft lottery happened.
Mm-hmm.
So we could talk about that a little bit here. So I saw that it was the Detroit Pistons that got it first, right?
Yes, they won the lottery. They were
So it
projected
looks
to get
like
the
here
second pick, but they got the first one.
So it looks like it's Detroit, Houston, Cleveland, Toronto, Magic, the Thunder, the Warriors got. Why would the Timberwolves give up their? Oh,
So
maybe they traded a
it
while ago
was
for it.
it was the Andrew Wiggins and D'Angelo Russell trade.
Okay, that's what I
Minnesota
thought.
gave up a pick to get D'Lo, so that's what that pick is.
I think they could have done some. They would have done really good this year if it wasn't for like Cat having like his entire family died to COVID. Right? Like I'm pretty sure his mother and his grandmother died to like COVID or something like that. And
They,
he was
yeah,
just
they both passed. I mean, obviously that's going to be a factor on a player's
yeah.
ability to focus and perform well. I'm not saying that like that it's not a thing, but at the same time, the Timberwolves are kind of just a bad organization that just seem to be bad every year, regardless of what happens. I'm not pinning any of it on Cat though, because I mean, Cat's had one of the roughest years.
Oh, I'm not saying it
My
was his
God.
fault. I'm just saying it's must have been a rough year for them to
Yes.
try to
Yeah.
focus on winning.
Yeah.
And they were like the Knicks, right? Where like it's just bad from the top down. I'm pretty sure from what I remember hearing.
I mean, the Knicks were pretty successful this year. I mean,
Yeah, and then they won
relatively
one
speaking,
game
of
against the
course.
Hawks, and
Relatively speaking, um, but I think unfortunately Minnesota's just kind of one of those organizations. I don't know what like as soon as they lost Kevin Love, they haven't done anything. Like as soon as they traded away Kevin Love, that organization was like, "Hey, we're just gonna tank every year." But
I I don't. So I haven't even watched a lot of this last year's college
basketball,
basketball. Who's projected to be? Because like the year
okay.
before for this last year's draft, I was watching it because Lamelo was in it, and that man's a fucking baller. So I didn't really get to see who is projected to be like their
So
top.
I think there's like a consensus top four, and then it's like, hey, there are other good players, but
But they're not. They're not. It's not like having, you know, this guy's not like the next Steph Curry or Steve Curry. Jesus Christ, Steph Curry
I mean,
or
they're
something.
like the guy that everybody thinks is gonna go number one. Pretty damn good. I think the top four are really really good, and then everyone else. I mean, it's a really deep draft class. It's
That's
just
good, right? Better than
I don't
if
think
you don't
there's
get
like
Lamelo or you don't get Zion. I think the last two classes like if you don't get Zion, you're getting nothing out of this. If you don't get Lamelo, you're not getting anything out of this draft.
yeah, in a sense. I mean, there are other good players in those classes too, but this one's definitely deeper, I think, than other ones.
Now, Do you like if you were Golden State, right?
Yeah.
Do you trade both of your both of your ones for the first,
Uh,
or is it not worth it? Because if it was football and you like last year, if somebody had two first, they would have traded it for the first because Trevor Lawrence. So
um,
I just
honestly, I think Golden State's probably gonna ship. They're probably gonna trade one of those picks and like maybe try to get rid of Andrew Wiggins' money to bring in somebody else that's better than Andrew Wiggins.
isn't Andrew Wiggins like wasn't he like a key factor why they like came back last year?
I mean,
I
like
feel like the Golden State Warriors are just in such a shitty spot because Clay got injured at the first game again. That poor
he
dude
wasn't
with
he
his-
wasn't it wasn't even the first game. He was just warming up in the off season and he tore his ACL or something.
Yeah, because it was his. I thought it was his Achilles or something like this time.
One of
'Cause it was
one of the two, yeah. I think the first one was an ACL. The second one may have been Achilles. Yeah.
I hope he comes back stronger than ever. So, because watching those two play together, Steph and Klay Thompson they're just so fun to watch because they just make just these miraculous shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just always fun to watch.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they'll be a top team anymore. Like I don't think they're gonna be a 1 seed or a 2 seed. I think they'll be like 3 or 4. But I don't.
I think they could be. It's possible, but I think they have to trade. They have to trade Andrew Wiggins, and
Could you imagine if
and a
they
pick.
traded Steph Curry?
never.
Could you
Never.
fucking imagine?
They wouldn't do it. Why would they do that? Like,
I don't know. Why would the Patriots trade Tom Brady or get rid of Tom Brady?
well, they didn't. Tom Brady didn't want to re-sign in New England. He just
I
left.
thought there was just stories that came out that where he like wasn't even like offered like a spot back or something like that, or maybe
I don't think that's true.
no, that was for a different team. That was for a different team because
Maybe.
he did a not a podcast but a talk show this morning, not this morning, yesterday, where he was like getting mad because other teams weren't offering for him or they were dropping out to get him. And then I think one of his lines was, "You're gonna stick with that motherfucker?" Like, if you had the chance, even if I had Josh Allen, I would. And the Bills went to go get Tom Brady, I'd be like, "Let's do it." Why wouldn't you want the man who's won 6
7.
chips, now 7, 6 before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you want that on your team, even if it's just for 1 year? Like, could you imagine how much like, I guess Atlanta Hawks are like a exception in all those people who had older QBs, but like with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, just some, what if he went to like, I mean, he wouldn't go to Cleveland because he wants to be somewhere warm, I guess, right? That was his whole thing. But like, even if like, if you went to like the Chargers, right, out there in LA, Justin Herbert would have learned so much from Tom Brady and even be a better rookie. But like, granted,
Well,
that kid's ball.
I was gonna say he's really good already. In hindsight, more teams should have gone after Tom Brady because clearly he won a Super
The
Bowl.
Julio Jones thing.
But don't even get me started on that. I want to cry. I get why teams didn't go after him because I mean unfortunately I've been saying it to myself for years, and I feel like eventually I'll be proven right, but probably never.
He's old.
He is one hard hit from literally never walking again. He's a
Really?
he's a 44-year-old playing football getting tackled by 20-year-olds.
Hey, power to him. It's all that avocado ice cream.
It's awesome that he's able to play at such a high level still. I'm just saying that like his body, just scientifically speaking, isn't going to hold up as well as somebody that's 21. Like that's just not how it works. He is one wrong hit from like losing his legs.
Yeah, I know. Josh Allen was already saying like, his body's hurting in places where it probably shouldn't be, and that's just because his first year he didn't have a line, so that poor kid was just getting.
Yeah.
But back to basketball here. Kind of derailed there. No worries. But I just feel like I could see like somehow the Golden State Warriors trade Steph Curry. Maybe he wants out or something like that. Bro, what if like? No, that wouldn't work because they play the same position. I was gonna say like maybe he goes to like the Blazers, but that's because he couldn't do that because Dame plays point guard.
I mean, unless they did a swap, but what's the point of a swap? Neither team really gets better.
I think the Blazers get 10 times better with Steph Curry than Dame.
Yeah, but are the Blazers 10 times better with Steph Curry at title contender? Probably not, because the Blazers are worse than the Warriors, assuming health anyway.
Are they?
Yeah. Would you rather have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum or a healthy Steph Curry and Klay Thompson? Because I'd take healthy Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They have the number 2 pick from last year's draft in James Wiseman. If
But
he
the
gets
problem
healthy
there
and
is that
takes a step
they
forward,
got to be healthy.
I mean, yeah,
Steph-
but
Or
like
Klay
this
Thompson is. Yeah, no,
we're
it's a
talking
freak accident.
hypothetical where if everybody is fully healthy, who would you rather have?
I definitely have the Splash Brothers.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right.
So like if it was a
I just feel
Steph
bad for
Dame
Dame.
swap, the Warriors would get worse, the Blazers would get better, but his backcourt mate is CJ McCollum, who, while great, is not as good of a shooter as Klay. He's not
Yeah,
as
you're
good of
right.
a defender as Klay. Like,
What do you think the Warriors need then? Because obviously they don't need shooters. They just need like big men, right? Like that's their whole thing. They need big men.
well, I mean, I think they're hoping for James Wiseman to pan out. The dude got honestly, they probably would have made the playoffs if Wiseman didn't get hurt.
Is that their power forward?
He was their rookie center this last year.
Okay.
He got hurt, so and like
They
before
were
that,
one
he
game away
wasn't
from the playoffs too.
he wasn't
sad.
doing like amazing. He was okay, but I think yeah, he was okay.
How did the Chicago Bulls lose their draft pick?
So they traded for Nikola Vucevic in the middle of the season from Orlando. So
That's another organization that I feel like is just hopelessly inept.
I don't know what they're doing because the truth of the matter is that like yeah, you got Zach LaVine, that's awesome, but
The poor guy's
the
the only
dude's
person on your team.
the dude's not gonna want to re-sign if you suck every single year. And it's like, okay, that's why they traded for Vucevic. Fair enough. Because Vucevic is also very good. I mean, he was an all-star, I think this last year and then a few years ago as well. But those two, they're not going to get you a chip. They're good. They're great players. They're not getting you a championship. Especially with the supporting cast in Chicago. The supporting cast in Chicago is not good.
They're a Western Conference, right?
No, they're East.
Oh, okay.
But they're still like the 10th best team in the East. Like that's the problem.
They're not great. I just like don't understand like what's going on over there. Like, cause I don't remember the last time I don't think I was alive for the last time the Chicago Bulls were good.
I mean, when Derrick Rose was there in the like early 2010s, I mean, he won MVP in 2008.
I guess I wasn't watching basketball at that time.
No.
I think I started watching basketball here and there like in 2012 when I think the first player I remember watching was surprisingly, I mean, who would have thought, it's Kobe and Derek Fisher for the LA Lakers or something like that. I think I just remember sitting there and watching Kobe lob a full court shot and make it, I'm pretty sure.
That wouldn't surprise me.
All right, well, I feel, how does the draft work for them? Because like it only shows 14, so like after 14, what happens?
So there are 16 teams that make the playoffs, and their picks are like they're locked and they're based on record. So like every team that makes the playoffs, so from pick 15 to pick 30, it was already determined. Like we already knew the draft order from 15 to 30. But the teams that don't make the playoffs, they each are like assigned, and again, it's based on record, they're assigned a percentage odd at getting the number 1 pick. And then it's random, but obviously the teams that generally play worse have higher odds. But the teams that make the playoffs, those picks are set in stone.
So, how many teams are in the league?
30.
There's 30?
Yeah.
They should make it 31 picks, right? And then whoever wins the NBA Finals gets the 31st pick.
Well, whoever wins the finals, they automatically move to the 30th pick, and everybody in between the gap moves up 1 spot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Still, wouldn't that be cool though? Like if I feel like that would add some extra incentive, to not want to throw it would make teams not want to tank. Like if you're like a halfway decent team,
Because you're giving him an
like
extra pick, you mean, or?
yeah, because like now if you win the finals, right, you get the 31st pick as well as whatever your first draft or first round is. I just feel like that would like because if you say you traded away your first pick, right, from
Mhm.
last year, you traded your way the 2021 pick away for something last year, and now you went into the finals and you won it. And now you get another 31st pick. I think that just maybe that would fuck everything up, but I feel like that would just make things a little bit better. Not better, more entertaining, I guess. That's just me.
I
I
mean,
like to
that's
see
why
like
they
stakes on
changed
the line.
they changed the lottery odds a few years back to discourage playing like shit on purpose. Um, the worst record in the league used to have a 25% chance to get the number one pick, which is pretty high. And now the number one odds are shared by three teams at 14%. So it's like you're not
What was
you're not guaranteed. I mean, you weren't guaranteed in the first place, but it's much harder if you were projected to get number one. It's much harder to get number one now.
what was the least amount of wins this year?
Houston went 17-55.
Damn.
Yeah, without James Harden, they're kind of
Or
trash.
Russell Westbrook. Oh my. Who's even on their team anymore?
Their best player is probably Christian Wood, who they signed from Detroit. He
I
had a
don't know who
decent
that is.
year. He had a decent year. I think he was hurt for a good amount
Speaking
of
of
it.
Detroit, I feel good. It's good to it was good to see Blake Griffin good again. You know what I mean?
I mean, I'm happy for him that he's playing well, but I think that dude, like he did exactly what in my mind James Harden did. Like James Harden literally wore a fat suit to get traded out of Houston, and Blake Griffin doesn't bother trying while in Detroit, and then as soon as he's in Brooklyn, he's dunking the basketball
mean,
every which way, and it's like, really,
You gotta
dude?
imagine how hard it is to try when you're in Detroit,
I,
right?
I,
Like,
I get it, but like that doesn't change the fact that it leaves a little bit of like a sour taste in my mouth. It's like, come on.
yeah, I got you. And then he goes to a super team and just beats a six man. But like, ugh.
Yeah, well, they lost, so justice
They
is
still
served.
lost. Granted, they didn't have Kyrie.
No,
And James Harden was
they
playing
would have
through a hand.
they would have swept that series if they were fully healthy. Like it wouldn't have been close. Maybe 5 games. It wouldn't have been a challenge.
I think it would have been not in 5, but just because Giannis maybe would help carry.
He'd go off in one game for sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the East Conference Finals or not finals, but let's talk about the East Conference for the playoffs. We'll start. You're a Hawks fan, so
Well,
that
I mean,
Hawks Knicks game, right?
so
Wait,
I'm an
Oh, you're a
NBA
Warrior.
fan, but like my favorite two teams are the Warriors and the Hawks, and so the
I'm a
Warriors.
Bucks and Suns fan.
Okay, well you're
love-
killing it in the playoffs then.
Love watching. I've always loved watching Devin Booker. He's just so fun to
He's
watch.
awesome. So Steph Curry is my favorite player of all time. He's
baller.
really what got me into the NBA. So I root for the Warriors, and then I root for the Hawks because I graduated with Kevin Herter, who is their starting
Really?
shooting guard.
Really?
Yeah, I graduated with Kevin Herter, who's the starting shooting guard for the Atlanta Hawks, and then I
That's
also
fucking nuts.
I also graduated with Ian Anderson, who is
Bro, he saved that last game.
yeah, I was so fun to watch. So yeah, him, and then I graduated with Ian Anderson, who I don't know if you know baseball, but he is a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves.
Why did everybody in your town go to Atlanta?
I don't know, but it's kind of cool. So it's like I was already a
It's fucking
Falcons.
sick.
I was already a Falcons fan, so now I'm just kind of an Atlanta sports team guy. So just by
It's
chance.
okay. I'm I'm a Mets fan, a Buffalo fan, a Milwaukee, and then the Suns,
Mhm.
all over the place. So I started like hard watching basketball in like 2018
Yeah.
because I think that's when Mr. Giannis had his big come up, right? 2018, does that sound about right? 2019?
That was probably like
2018?
his first like big breakout year.
Just because I just like, okay, I want to
Because
get into
his
basketball.
MVPs were 2019 and 2020.
So yeah, probably 2018 was like when he just like started, I don't know, maybe coming to the normies who weren't watching basketball, but like still kept in touch a little bit.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
2018 was
I-
like his first like big year.
because I kept tabs on basketball, but I never like watched basketball. And then all of a sudden, I see this man named Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Like how like that name is just funny to me because it's just so long and fun
Antetokounmpo,
to
but
say.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'll watch this guy, right?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't care what team he's on. I'll watch this guy. And then it turned out to be a two-time MVP. What can I say?
I
But
mean, yeah, he's a beast.
so I'm kind of like a half Milwaukee's fan. I don't really like. I don't really have like a team like I would put my heart and soul into like the Bills, but like watching the Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks, I like how their dynamics. Like it's just always entertaining to watch their games. Like watching the end of that Brooklyn game, I was on the edge of my seat.
Mm-hmm.
That was like overtime, and then poor Kevin Durant decided he was gonna try to shoot a 3-point gassed instead of just going for the tie. But I don't know. But that Hawks and Knicks series was just so funny to me because they were down 0-1, right? Because the Knicks won the first game or something like that.
No, the Hawks won game 1, then the Knicks won game 2, and then the Hawks won 3 straight.
Yeah, okay. So I just remember hearing when they won game 2, just the entire Knicks fan base outside of Madison Square just chanting, "We want Brooklyn!" Like,
It's
oh
like, yeah,
no,
you're
bro.
not getting there. You'd have to literally go through Philly as well.
I know, even if they beat the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
In like a 7-game stretch, they would then have to face the Sixers, who I'm pretty sure would have 4-0'd them.
Yeah, that would
Like,
not have been close at all.
I'm sorry, Knicks fans, but like, there's not a shot in hell that Julius Randle is gonna bring you to the promised land against the Sixers.
And I like Julius Randle. I'm very happy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very happy that he had a
very good
fantastic season.
His playoff performance was
oh yeah, bad.
rough.
And it proved he can't be your best player. He can be maybe a second option, probably a third option. But I mean, he's good. I love watching him play because generally speaking, he plays very well.
JJ Barrett's on that team, right?
RJ Barrett, yeah.
RJ Barrett?
Yeah.
How did he do this year? I didn't even get to see his name. I always saw Randall ever popping up from the Knicks. Like,
he definitely had a better year from his rookie year.
Is Derrick Rose on that team?
Yeah, Derrick.
Kevin Love?
They traded for Derrick Rose. Kevin Love's still on the Cavs.
Cavs, okay.
Yeah.
That's where I saw. Okay. So, yeah.
Barrett played better. He shot 40% from 3, which is actually quite nice, but he might average 20 this next year if he takes one more big leap.
I'm pretty sure I feel bad for Zion because like that team went to shit so fast.
The Pelicans?
Yeah.
I mean, they're a pretty decent team. They got a lot of young talent. They just need to
have a good coach.
Put it together. Yeah, coaching's been a problem for them definitely, but
I just feel like they were so good and not good. They were like a contender in 2019, and then last year they just fell off the face of the earth. But I don't know. I just feel like when I was watching RJ play, he just always was just breaking it. Granted, I could never play underneath those circumstances or have near the amount of talent they do, but from what as a spectator, it looked like he was just breaking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess shooters gotta shoot.
Shooters gotta shoot. That's how you get out of the slump.
What was the biggest upset you were hoping for?
I was hoping for? I mean, I can't even...
Is there like an underdog? Not like the Hawks, but like is there like a team that you like just wanted to win just out of like you thought should have won but didn't? I guess so far. Because for me, it would have been the Mavericks.
I would have said the Jazz. I thought the Jazz were going to beat the Clippers.
They were like, I feel like the Jazz were like doing this weird just ISO game where they didn't try to play as a team or anything. They were just trying to ISO, and then they were just not like because they won 2 in a row, and then they got 4-0'd, right?
Well, they should have won that. Frankly, they clearly played pretty terribly in the later stretch of the series because the Clippers didn't even have Kawhi. And they lost 2 games without the Clippers having Kawhi. So I thought Utah was better than that. I really thought Utah was kind of legit this year, and nope, they're still a couple years away, I think.
I think next year is their shot. They just need to learn. It just looked like they didn't have a plan.
Mm.
Like
The,
it just felt like they were like, our players are better than your players, and we're just gonna hope on that.
the problem for Utah is that I think they're already at their peak when teams like Dallas can get better, Denver can get better because Jamal Murray wasn't even in the playoffs. Phoenix can get better because DeAndre Ayton's going to keep getting better. The Lakers are going to be good if they're healthy. The Warriors are going to be good if they're healthy. The Jazz kind of just choked it away. Memphis will even be getting better because, I mean, Ja Morant's absurd.
That kid was absurdly good.
Yeah.
That man was the what was it? It was the Warriors game, I think,
Mm-hmm.
the play-in game,
Yeah.
and he had that. It was a last minute shot, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe. Yeah, right.
It was,
Like,
I know it was a close game, so.
Yeah, it was I watched most of that game. I just didn't get to watch the last quarter because I had to go to sleep for work the next day. But
Mm-hmm.
it was so entertaining to watch him play against, especially against Steph Curry. The man, those two were just so much fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, like, that's all I want. Like, I don't really care who wins the chip. I just want the games to be interesting. Like last year, the finals was not interesting because most of the Heat was injured,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lakers were fully healthy, basically with LeBron and AD. So I don't know.
I cared
So
who won the finals. I didn't want the Lakers or the Nets to win, so I'm happy they both lost. Now I don't care. Like I'm rooting for the Hawks, but I'm kind of okay with literally any team.
I want a Phoenix Bucks game.
I mean, of course you do. Those are your two teams, and honestly,
No, not even because they're my two. I just think
that's probably the most interesting series.
I think that'll be the most the closest game series I think it'll ever be. It'll be like every game will be down to like the minute, like fourth quarter, last minute. Here we're gonna see who wins, or it could be a complete wash and Phoenix will 4-0 the Bucks because the Bucks defense on the perimeter sucks ass this year. It looks like because they just can't stop a three. But that's just me.
Have fun with the Hawks then, because they're a pretty good shooting team.
Yeah, every time when they were playing the Nets, dude, they just could not stop them from shooting.
I think I give them one game, maybe they take two, but I don't see it getting past that, honestly.
I think it's Bucks. I had told Matt, I think it's Bucks in 6.
Probably.
Matt says a 4-0 sweep.
No, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Holy Okay, so I just got a picture of Devin Booker's nose. Did you see that shit?
I saw it. Yeah.
Holy.
He gonna be playing in a face mask. Not like a COVID face mask, like a.
Yeah, I got you. Like a whole, like the hard one, right? The plastic
like a Batman mask. Yeah.
There's those things are so dumb looking.
I mean, say what you will. Some players, when they put on those masks, they just go beast mode.
I guess it like prevents, like it takes away some fear of getting poked in the eye or something like that.
I mean, I don't know what it is about it. All I know is that like when Kyrie, when he wears a mask, he just goes off. There's nothing about it, but
I think it's probably because he feels like he can get in there and not have to worry about his eyes or anything like that getting jabbed out. It just gives you more confidence to play your way.
Yeah.
Because speaking of eyes, like 2 years ago, there was the Warriors versus the the Warriors versus the Houston Rockets in the West Conference Finals, I think it was.
West. Yeah, it would be the West.
And I just remember, who is it? Draymond Green is your sixth man or whatever?
He's the power forward. He's the power forward.
I just remember him literally gouging Harden's eyes.
Yeah,
I saw him stick his thumbs out and come down into James Harden's eye.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dude, him and Patrick Beverly, dude, are my least two favorite players in the league. Those two are just, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan at all.
I don't really hate a single. I mean, I don't like James Harden. And if I'm going to be consistent in the reason I don't like James Harden, I kind of have to say that at the very least, Trae Young annoys me. Because, like, they kind of have the same hey, I'm literally going to jump into you. I'm going to bait you to jump, and then I'm going to jump into you and reward myself by getting to the free throw line. And it's cheap, and like
That's more or less
a
on the
lot of
refs,
point guards
though.
do it. I mean, well, but the refs are doing their job. I can't blame the refs. Like right now, under the rules, that is technically a foul. The defender has to know to stay grounded on the fake, or you are going to draw contact, or the offensive player is going to force the contact, and it's going to be a foul. So, like, under the current rules, it is technically the fault of the defender. It's just kind of a cheap way to draw contact, and they're looking into it in the offseason. They may change the rule. They may make it an offensive foul, which they probably should. It's just going to change the way guys like Harden and Trae Young are going to have to play.
I think the flop rule is just so boring.
What flop rule? What do you mean?
Like, I mean, not like the rule, but like, you can like bait a foul. I guess I don't know.
Well,
how,
you sell contact. You sell contact. Yeah.
It's just like it makes the game so. I liked the Milwaukee Brooklyn games for the most part because it seemed like the refs were just letting them play.
Mm-hmm.
At least from my I guess I didn't, maybe I wasn't watching it intensely, but enough to see something. But it felt like it was just pure basketball, and both teams were going at it, and they were just. And the refs were like, okay, as long as there's nothing too drastic, as long as you guys aren't like slapping up each other really hard or anything like that. And no, like, well, I saw Giannis fall on the ground 6 times because he was going for the layup, and he got shoved while going for the layup, and he like fell onto the floor. They didn't call it. I was like, good basketball. And like when they did like purposely shove though, right? Like call the foul. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like that's kind of the way. But like when you watch like, I don't know, I guess like the Hawks part, like they were just calling random fouls. I literally watched Trae Young jump into somebody. I was like, he jumped into him. He's the one who initiated the contact. How does that make any sense?
Yeah,
It just
I know.
doesn't make it.
But that's just how the rules work, right? Right now, it's the defender's. It's supposed to be the defender's action to have the discipline to stay grounded on the fake, and if
But how if
it's
you're trying
stupid.
to stop a shot? That's so dumb.
It's stupid. I get it, but it's the rule right now. So the refs are doing their job. It's just frustrating.
So what team do you think? Okay, so who do you think? So you already talked about the Atlanta game. Who do you think wins this Clippers game or the Clippers series? Do you think the Suns 4-0, or do you think it's gonna be like a comeback all of a sudden? Because Chris Paul is out.
It's not going to be a sweep. It's not going to be a sweep. I think Kawhi. Frankly, I think he's done for the season. I think the Clippers aren't saying anything because maybe they're hopeful, but I think Kawhi is done for the year. I think he's out.
And his hand.
Oh God.
What did he do?
Kawhi Leonard.
I
thought it was an ACL. They fear it's an ACL thing.
Okay. Sorry, I just remember seeing some. Maybe it's because I saw LeBron tweet out.
It's a knee sprain.
But then I realized it's a knee sprain. Okay.
It's a knee sprain that I believe when like the news first came out, the Clippers were kind of fearing that it would be that it's an ACL injury. But since that came out, they haven't said anything. So
maybe they're hoping for like a James Harden thing where he'll come back and play for 2 games.
Yeah, but like, if you're playing on a knee sprain, he's not going to be Kawhi Leonard. He'll be what James Harden was and shoot 2 for 20 from the field or something like.
But I think it'll be a close series because CP3 is also out because he got COVID protocol.
But I don't. Is Chris Paul vaccinated? Because I feel like
yes.
He is. So how long he has to stay out is shortened by the fact that he's vaccinated. So I guess.
Sorry, I was drinking.
You're good. There's already a story. There's already a story that they're hopeful that he'll come back for Game 3.
Really?
Yes. They said.
So how long do you have to stay out in order to?
Well,
he played Game 1, right?
No, he didn't. He missed Game 1 and Game 2.
So he's already been out 2 games. Okay.
So let me see. Today marked the 6th day Paul remained isolated. A positive test required a player to be quarantined for a minimum of 10 to 14 days.
So they'll probably do 10.
But the league
True,
has
you're right.
different standards for vaccinated individuals. He's currently asymptomatic. So I would say if he's not back for game 3, he will 100% be back for game 4. And frankly,
It'll probably be the last game.
I think the Clippers will take 1. I think the Clippers will
I
think the
don't know.
Clippers will take game 3. They're going back to LA. It was a very close game last night. The only reason they lost was because Paul George missed 2 free throws. He turned into Ben Simmons. So I think
That and that .20 second alley-oop to Andre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, yeah, insane.
Ayton, whatever it is.
So, like, I think they take game 3, but if Kawhi is still out for game 4, which I think he will be, Chris Paul will come back and they will win game 4, and then the series will basically be over in 5, maybe 6 games. Maybe 6. Probably 5. I think, assuming the team is healthy, I think Phoenix wins the whole thing. I think they're the best team left.
I agree. I
Like,
could see it.
I could see, but if Milwaukee makes the finals, it's a 7-game series, but I think Phoenix wins it.
I think it'll be a good finals, no matter who wins at this point.
If it's
I think the
a
Suns will
Phoenix
win
Atlanta finals, the Phoenix Suns sweep. It's a sweep.
Yeah, because I don't think the Atlanta Hawks have as good of a defense
No.
as
No.
the Phoenix do.
Their backcourt defense is awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
Trae Young can't defend a bag of air. I love Kevin Huerter, but like he's okay defensively.
Hey, bro, you can't even guard this fucking invisible bubble man that we got
Like,
standing over here.
He can't. He's like 6'1". He's only got like offensive ability. He can't play defense. He doesn't know how to. You expect me to believe that he could play convincing defense against Chris Paul or Devin Booker? No fucking way. No way.
Yeah, there's not a chance in hell that he ever does. Does Booker play shooting guard or point guard? Because that's
Well, I mean,
Chris Paul plays.
so Booker,
plays
for a while,
guard.
he was kind of like a 2 guard that could play both. But since they brought in Chris Paul, I think he almost
He
exclusively plays shooting guard.
right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like even without Chris Paul in there, I think the Phoenix Suns would still win this Clippers series, simply because I feel like Chris Paul has done something to this team, like that has made them more confident in themselves, maybe, or
It's the Chris
like
Paul
just-
effect, man. Wherever he goes, that team gets better.
Yeah, he hasn't even played these last 2 games, and they're still playing up to the standard that he held them at.
I don't know
It's-
what the hell happened to Cameron Payne, but
That
dude-
man was popping.
dude's playing out of his mind.
Chris Paul's like, listen here, bitch. Better start shooting, or else we're gonna have a talk. like, oh my.
Like, and it's awesome to see because the dude was like basically out of the league.
That man's. So I was watching the game yesterday, and I don't mean to be rude, but that man's head, dude, it looked like someone was like molding clay, and where his chin is, like someone molded it too thin. It just looks like a little bottom point. Sorry, that's just what made me laugh yesterday. But yeah,
he's been
I d-
awesome in Phoenix. He's
Mhm.
been so good in Phoenix.
yeah, that team for sure, for whatever reason, whether it be the Chris Paul effect or even just like the trainings he did with them, maybe I don't know, whatever he did, he has made this. He's done significantly more than what the coach could have done. I think. Like,
I think Monty Williams
think
has
experience-
been very good for them as a coach, but
Oh
Chris,
yeah, I agree.
Chris Paul has obviously elevated them
I
beyond
think Chris Paul's
Monty Williams.
experience and competitiveness has driven that team to be the 2 seed that they are, and become a probable finals winner. Like I just, for whatever
mean,
reason, that
Frankly,
he has-
at this point, I think they do it. I think they win the whole thing. But
I agree. I think it'll come down. I think it'll come down to Game 7. Whoever. I think if it's the Hawks, it's Phoenix in 6. If it's the Bucks, it's Phoenix or the Bucks in 7.
if it's the Hawks, it's Phoenix in 5. If it's the Bucks, it's Phoenix in 7. I think Phoenix kind of has it. Like, obviously, they can choke against the Clippers. It's
I just don't
possible.
know
For whatever
who-
reason, when the Clippers go down 2-0, they start playing like madmen. So
But
it's
I just don't know
possible.
who do you put on Giannis from the Phoenix Suns, right? Like you put
Jay
you put
Crowder?
Ayton at
Jay Crowder.
That's bro. I always forget he's on that team because he played for the Heat. But
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
he's been playing some good defense.
Also, Mikal Bridges. He is also a phenomenal defender. You got Jay Crowder or Mikal Bridges on Giannis, and like I feel like both of those guys do a decent job.
There's not even like really. I mean, Game 7 of the Nets game, it was Giannis, but like most of that series, it was Middleton. If Middleton doesn't show up, like their team is pretty much rough. Like Middleton needs to show up to help Giannis.
That's the thing. Chris Paul is better than Drew Holiday. Devin
Agreed.
Booker is the second best player in the entire series behind Giannis, probably. And then the Suns
I would
have...
put it as Booker is the best player in that entire series.
No, it's Giannis. It's Giannis.
I feel like Booker can do more of everything than Giannis can. Giannis can't hit a three for his life.
Booker's a better offensive weapon, but Giannis is better all around.
Yeah. I guess he's good on both sides of the ball, right?
Yes. But the problem is that nobody... I mean, that's not true. The Bucks have guys that can defend Devin Booker because they've got Drew Holiday, who's a great defender. Dante DiVincenzo definitely holds his own on the defensive end. Is he out?
He's been out. That's why the Bucks have been struggling this year, or this last series.
I mean, Chris Middleton's not a bad defender either. Jeff Teague's not a terrible defender. I forgot they had him. But like, I'm just like, the defensive matchup for Phoenix is probably better than the defensive matchup for Milwaukee. Because like PJ Tucker, great high effort guy, but you really think he's gonna take on DeAndre Ayton? I say no.
No, it wouldn't be. It would be Lopez and
Lopez is good. The problem is that Lopez, while he's a great player. I love Brook Lopez.
Oh, my dog is barking.
But like, he moves in slow motion. So like, DeAndre Ayton is just gonna torch him. I mean, who knows? I can see the Bucks winning. I just think it's Phoenix. I think Phoenix is the best team left.
I feel. I don't know who would win. It'll come down to a Game 7 either way. I feel. Man, I just don't know who would win that series. Like, I want to say Phoenix would win, but there's also like a bit in me that just says like, how do you, like Giannis in the fourth quarter? Like the Bucks this last like series were always a second half team. So I mean, like,
I think part of my picking Phoenix is that I desperately want Chris Paul to win a finals. I think it would be awesome for him. Yes, I really love Chris Paul.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be. And Giannis, even Giannis, I would love to see Giannis win the finals.
Like, genuinely, I actually don't care who wins this year because obviously the Hawks would be super cool for me personally.
Paul George, even
Paul George. That's why. That's why I don't care if the Clippers win because like I like Paul George.
I just don't like Patrick Beverley.
Like I don't like all the shit Paul George gets. Like, does he deserve it because he plays shit sometimes? Yeah, but guess what? Everyone plays shit sometimes. Like,
I mean,
it's like how it
he
goes.
does it more in the playoffs than other people. But this playoff series though, he's been bumping. Well, he's got he's averaging 30 points a game.
He literally
how much more can he do?
He carried the team over Utah and got very little praise. And then as soon as he misses 2 free throws last night, everyone's like, "See, Paul George is terrible." It's like, what?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
In the conference finals. What do you mean? How much more does this man have to do to prove to you that he's on a redemption arc right now?
Like yeah, sure, I get it's funny to make fun of Paul George and yeah, haha, bad player did bad thing, but like he's not a bad player. He literally just carried them over Utah and he's still playing well. Like being that close in game 2 without Kawhi, like yeah, Paul George was the reason they lost, but at the same time still kind of got to give them some credit. Like, they're in that game because of Paul George. So, yeah. I would like to see him win a finals because I like Paul George. So, I don't care who wins. I really don't.
I want it to be a Phoenix-Milwaukee game. I think that'd be our most entertaining. I think if it was, like, the Clippers versus the Bucks, I think Bucks win that all the time. I think if it's Clippers versus the Hawks, I think the Hawks win that. I think if it's Phoenix versus the Hawks, the Phoenix versus Bucks, that'd be like our best contending competitive maybe is the word I'm looking for?
Contentious.
Like
contentious.
Yeah. I can't say that word, so
I love the Hawks. I don't see a single scenario where they win the finals. I just don't.
I don't think so either.
I don't see it.
I I think maybe if they played the Clippers, maybe
No.
because like I think that'd be their best bet. I think both teams are not that greatest at defense from unless Kawhi plays.
Clippers are very good defensively. They're very good defensively. I mean, their defense has been knocked down a peg because Paul George isn't playing as well on the defensive side of the ball. They lost Serge Ibaka for the year, but like Beverly's a good defender that will definitely get under Trae Young's skin. Like, there's no way he won't. And then if like say maybe
skins.
the Clippers are like kind of hoping they can just get past Phoenix and then roll out Kawhi for the finals. If Kawhi is healthy against Atlanta, it's over in 4 games. It's over in 4 games.
You're right. That's right. I'm sorry. I forgot about playoff Kawhi in the finals last year, where the man was just absolutely dunking on people.
Yeah, he was ridiculous in Toronto. That playoff run was amazing.
Did
even
they even
though it was at the expense of the Warriors, that playoff run was amazing.
Granted, the Warriors didn't have a shot because everybody was fucking injured.
Everybody was hurt. Yeah, and it still went to 6 games. So
yeah, because Steph Curry's a fucking baller.
Mm-hmm.
That man Butler did what Steph Curry did last year. Like, Butler literally carried his team to the finals but had no support, and he was just absolutely beaten down and could not do anything.
I don't know what Miami does to get better because, frankly,
They need
last year
big
was
men, right?
Last year was literally their peak. Like, they showed us their peak. We were all like, "Oh, they can get better," but that's literally the best we've
Problem
ever
is, like,
seen
if-
any of their role players play.
Yeah, the problem is if Butler doesn't show up, there's nobody in that team that will carry that team.
Well, Bam is fantastic, but
Yeah, but he's not a shooter.
he's not
You
a
can only
number
do
one. He's not a number one.
You can only do,
Jimmy really isn't a shooter much either. Like they rely
He
on
gets a free
Duncan
throw a lot.
Robinson and Tyler Hero to shoot from the perimeter, but neither of them played as well this year as they did last year. Neither of them. They were both still
I agree.
fine, but
I think they need more. It's either they need to fix the bench or they need to fix. I don't know. Like, cause like, it's not. I don't think it's a big man problem. I think it's a shooter problem.
yeah, I would say so. The problem is that like I think they lost a lot of defensive just fire. Like not like they have good defensive guys on their team, but like clearly losing Jay Crowder was a problem.
Why did they like? I don't understand why they got rid of Jay Crowder.
They didn't get rid of him. He just signed with Phoenix. Chris Paul called him up and was like, "Hey, sign with Phoenix." And he was like, "Okay."
Oh, okay. I thought they traded him out.
No. I think Jay Crowder was a free agent, so he was just like, "I'm going to Phoenix. Bye."
You just think you'd re-sign the people if you could. Maybe they couldn't afford it, but like you think they would re-sign people back.
I'm
so
sure
that
they
way they could-
tried, but I mean, if you're
if
an unrestricted free agent, you go where you want.
Yeah, and you know if Chris Paul and the Suns are like, hey,
Well, and
come
exactly,
play with us, I'm like, that seems like a good idea to me.
like that's the thing. Chris Paul was in Phoenix at that point. You look at Phoenix's roster versus Miami's roster. Where's Jay Crowder going to want to go play? Phoenix. Phoenix has a better roster. They just do. Miami's got a good roster. They've got good players, but if I was Jay Crowder, I'm going to Phoenix.
I agree.
Play with Chris Paul and Devin Booker? Come on.
I feel like Devin Booker is gonna be the next, like, what's the word for it? Like, not, I guess, like LeBron maybe, like, you know, like he's gonna be the next big name for basketball.
Like
I feel
face
like
of the
him and
league,
Gian-
you mean?
Yeah, I feel like him and Giannis are gonna be the new faces of the league. Like him and
I don't know if you watch like First Take or anything like on ESPN, but
here and there. I watch clips. I don't really watch. I don't like
Yeah.
waking up that early and watching them talk.
yesterday they were talking like either yesterday or the other day they had Magic Johnson on the show, and they were talking about Devin Booker, and then Stephen A. Smith said Devin Booker is the next Kobe Bryant, and I'm
I
like,
can see that.
okay, from a mentality standpoint, yeah, but let's calm down a little bit. Let's not
Let's see him win a finals first. I guess.
exactly like win a chip and then maybe talk to me. Let's not jump the gun here. I know at the same time, or at least a partial reason you're saying that is because you're the media and you want somebody to click on your video, but let's slow our roll here. Devin Booker's great. I love him. He's awesome. But let's calm down.
I feel like I agree. I could see him being the next Kobe. I wanted to say that, but
Mm-hmm.
I also, he's been on that team for a while, and they just now are getting to the playoffs
Am I
after adding CP3. But granted, he hasn't had much help.
am I
Like
saying it's out of the question? No. I'm just saying like let's slow our roll a little bit. Like
that's like, yeah,
that's
like
quite the comparison.
yeah.
Cuz
It's like
Kobe was doing like, oh my
Kobe was
god.
Kobe. Like, what do you when you say when you throw something up? What do you say? You say Kobe. Like there, you don't. There's not a more memorable, I guess, other than LeBron James, than there is. Like, I feel like, man, it's just weird not having him around. But like, I don't know. That man was he's
D,
such a good player.
D Book literally he has to win. I
Just
can
win.
I can give it to him already from a mentality standpoint. I think Devin Booker has the quote unquote Mamba mentality, what you call it. But like he is not the offensive threat that Kobe was, not yet.
I feel like this playoffs he is. I feel like he's showed up
He's
almost every
he
game.
has absolutely shown flashes of it, which is why yet again I understand the comparison. He has absolutely shown flashes of it. Last year in the bubble, this year in the playoffs as well. He's been a madman. He's been
Is there
great.
I wonder if
But
there's like a playoff stat, like how many games, how many points he's averaging this playoffs. I don't think there is.
there definitely are. NBA playoff
Because like
stats.
I feel like he's got to be averaging at least 30 points game,
He's probably averaging 30.
like 25 to 30, I would say a game.
Um,
Is it- Like sure, like I don't know. I feel like I think if he wins this year, I think you could say he's the next Kobe. But if he doesn't, you gotta be like, okay, well, what is the reasoning? Is it the team or is it, you know,
mhm.
his? I don't. I feel like I want to say yes. Him and Giannis are gonna be like the face of this league, but like, it's hard to say that when Steph Curry is just one teammate away from being the finals winner again.
Yeah.
I also think the Denver Phoenix game would have been more of a close series if Jamal Murray wasn't hurt.
Yes. Yeah. If Jamal Murray was hurt, that would have been a very good series. Very good series.
Yeah. Also, I had somebody tell me recently, okay, we're gonna get a little yikes here in the chat, okay? So somebody told me that they should get LeBron James out of the NBA. Or not out of the NBA, but not be the face of the NBA. I'm like, okay. First off, LeBron James literally carries teams to playoffs, right? Like he literally won 1v5 in the Cleveland series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's that. Until he retires, he will always be the face of the league. Like there's just nothing you can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, he then goes, instead of LeBron James, we should make Luka Doncic or Jokic the face of the league. I'm like, that would not go over well. For multiple reasons.
I kind of get it because it's like it would look good for an international player to be the face of the league. But the thing is that the league should not just decide, hey,
Yes.
we're going to push this
think
person so hard that they become the face of the league. You got to let a player step up and dominate and become the face of the league.
Yeah, I agree. He was trying to tell me like the league is in such a bad spot. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I feel like the league is in a very good spot. Almost every team that's in the playoffs has a chance at winning that series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this year was by far the most close and competitive teams this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, by far, like let's start with like the Miami team, the Bucks Miami game could probably have been a little bit closer. It just if people, sometimes you have bad series.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just unfortunate, but sometimes that happens. But I think this year overall was way more entertaining to watch than like years past.
Yes.
Like it's not just like, oh, okay, well, this year is gonna be kind of boring because the Warriors are gonna run through it, or the last year was, well, you can't beat the fucking Lakers because they sold out and got everybody they wanted.
See, but like, is part of that actual league parity, or is that COVID impacted everything so much that like injuries this year and the bubble last year completely changed the shape of the league and how players approached things, and that's why it's so competitive? Or is that truly parity between the teams? Like when we go back to the regular schedule next season, is it truly just going to go right back to, oh yeah, we could just look at this team and be like, they're the ones that are going to win?
I hope not.
I hope not too. It's just that we don't really truly know until we get back to that point, because these last 2 years, in full reality, have not been normal. They've been different for reasons other than, oh, the league is actually truly competitive. We know that for a fact.
I agree. I feel, I'm hoping this stays where all the teams are close.
I hope so too. I mean, that's
like,
what's going to make it the most interesting.
And I think it's making basketball way more entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on that note, let's end with who do you think is going to win the West Finals?
Mm-hmm.
And in how many games?
Phoenix in.
I think Phoenix.
Phoenix in 5.
5. Yeah,
Phoenix in 5.
I think it's the Bucks in 6.
That's Phoenix in 5 if Kawhi never comes back.
I still think it's Phoenix in 5 even if those Kawhi does come back.
I think if Kawhi comes back, it's Phoenix in 6, and then in the East, it's probably Milwaukee in 5 or 6 as well.
I think it's the Bucks in 6. I think they'll throw their 2 first home games.
No, I think
yeah.
I think they take a 2-0 lead, then 2-1, then 3-1, and then maybe the Hawks win Game 5.
I think it's gonna be 2-2, 2-0, 2-2. Then 4-2. I think they lose 4 in a row. I think they lose 2 in a row. Because the Bucks, when they're cold, they're cold.
I mean,
yeah.
What is it? Game 1's tonight, so we'll see.
Game 1's tonight. I'm excited. So hopefully next week we'll have some good
stuff.
Because at that point there'll be 2 games that'll be played. So
yeah.
All right. Well, so I think that's a good spot. If you guys have any other comments about the league or what you guys think could help improve the league, or just give us a comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let us know any feedback you think we could work on. I'm having a blast doing this, so I'm excited to keep going. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say before we head out?
Beyond just thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. Make sure that if you did enjoy, to like, subscribe, also comment, give us the feedback, as Braden said. That'd be great. And yeah, just thanks so much for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.